I'm glad you could join me here today. I have a little something different I want to do with you. I thought we would have a little talk about my favorite adhesives. Adhesives are a very personal thing in paper crafting. Everyone has their favorites. Everyone has what works for them, and sometimes what works for one person doesn't work for another. So I'm not saying this is what you have to have. I'm just saying this is what I like to use. This is my absolute #1 all-time favorite adhesive. This is the adhesive that I use more than anything else. And if I could only have one, this is probably the one that I would choose. This is Art Glitter Dries Clear Adhesive, and it's a little bit pricey, but you don't use as much of it as you use with other adhesives. And if you've followed any of my video tutorials, you've probably noticed I just use a very thin bead of this. It dries clear, so there's no smudges or glue boogers left on your work. It is very strong. It dries quickly, and you can even use this for dimensional embellishments. So there's that. And so this is my all-time favorite. You can buy it in this big 8-ounce thing, and I use this and then I refill the little bottle because it takes up less room on my craft station, and I can see I need to go ahead and cover this label with some pretty paper or some cloth or something to dress it up. But so the key to this adhesive is this metal tip, and you do have to buy this separately. It's a metal tip, and it comes with a stainless steel pin. And the stainless steel pin is really, really important because it does not rust when you insert it into this itty bitty nozzle. But this nozzle allows you, look at this, look how fine you can go. And that little bit of adhesive, you would not believe the way things will stick to it. It's really powerful. So the downside of this adhesive is this tip will clog, which is why you keep the pin in it. And the pin is small, which is why I hot glued a flower to the top. And this is looking a little decrepit. Well, one of my lovely YouTube followers, Debbie, and I will caption her in below so you can find her too, contacted me and said, "Hey, Kathy, I make charm toppers for your art glitter glue. Would you like one?" Which, how sweet was that? So this came in the mail, and I haven't opened it yet. I was saving it to look at with you. Look at the sweet little box tied with this beautiful elastic bow. And let's take a peek what we have in here. She asked me what color I wanted, and I said something bright so that I can find it on my workstation, because sometimes it gets a little chaotic. So here's a sweet little note: "Enjoy your glue bottle charm, Kathy. Crafty hugs, Debbie." And then, oh boy, look at this. This is beautiful. This won't get lost on my workstation. Let's take this out. Oh, look, she beads these, you guys. Look how gorgeous this is. Oh my word. I love this. So this little protector piece comes off, and now this will be the new topper for my glue bottle. Look how pretty that is. I love it. And now I know how to cover the rest of the bottle, because I just keep refilling this. I just keep refilling it. And you can buy the refills. I get mine at Heartfelt Creations. So thank you, Debbie. What a beautiful gift. I just love this. And it says made with love. I believe it because it's beautiful. Wow. You guys, if you use this glue, this is a great way to go. Much better than my ratty. This is definitely an upgrade. Thanks, Debbie. So my #1 favorite, okay? Now, let's just talk about other adhesives. Let's talk about, this is score tape. This is probably my second favorite, and I use this a lot when I'm making mini albums and folios. I love this because it's super strong, it's easy to apply, it tears easily. And here's a tip that one of my followers shared with me. Just bring this in. If you want to tear this straight, just take an acrylic block and look, you get a nice straight edge. So that's really cool. So I like this. I get this from Really Reasonable Ribbon. There's lots of different places you can get it. It comes in all different widths. I have the 1/8 of an inch, I have 1/4 inch, I have 1/2 inch. I also have 3/8 because sometimes I need 3/8. You can get 1 inch. And I also have sheets because sometimes I want to apply the whole sheet of adhesive to, say, a die cut, a really delicate die cut, and then run it through my machine, and then I can just peel off the backing, put that down. So score tape, next favorite. So then that brings us into tape runners, and I have to tell you, I'm not a fan. Maybe I'm too harum-scarum in the craft room, I don't know, but I have a really hard time with tape runners. But as tape runners go, I do have this Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L Easy Runner Grand, and this is my favorite. This is strong. It doesn't clog up. The problem I usually have with tape runners is that they clog up inside the mechanism. I can find this because it's nice and big. It's comfortable to hold in my hand. And unlike some tape runners, this really does hold. So for tape runners, there's that. And then I do also sometimes have a need for a repositionable adhesive, and I'll use this when I'm building layers on a card. I'll put a little bit of this on the back of a layer because this, I'll just show you, this will hold temporarily, but it will also release. So you know how you build a card and then you want to take it apart and glue it down permanently? This helps me do that. So I use this a little bit. I don't use it a lot, but when I need it, I really need it, and I really like it. I also use this when I'm filming, when I'm taking photos. If I have a page, like in a mini album that wants to flop open, I'll put a little bit of this on the adjacent page, press it to seal it, take my picture real quick, and then you can just rub the adhesive off with your thumb and it doesn't leave a mess. So there's that. Now, let's talk about foam tapes. My favorite right now at the moment are these Dries adhesive foam strips. These are thin, and I love these for when I'm doing my shaker cards. And I'll just take one out here to show you. See how thin that is? This is lovely if you have a really thin frame or you're trying to use a die cut with a frame. These are great, and right now these are my absolute favorite foam adhesive. And you can get these also at Heartfelt Creations, and they're cheap. They're like, I don't know, I want to say they're like just a little bit over $1 a package, which is a great deal. So I use this. Then as far as foam dots, I used to use these by the truckload. I don't as much anymore because what I do is I save waste chipboard pieces, and I just use these as my spacers or my dimensionals instead of this. But as dimensionals go, my absolute favorite are the Stampin' Dimensionals. They release easily, the top peels off well, they hold, they're really strong. You get a whole bunch of them for a great price. So these are probably my favorite. And then, of course, standard foam tape, which again, I don't use as much as I used to because I cut strips of my waste chipboard and then just, you know, use that instead of foam tape. So, but sometimes you do need foam tape. So there you go. All right, so that brings us to, I always keep glue sticks in the house. They're great for the grandkids. And I just always have glue sticks because I have grandkids. So that. Then for metal embellishments, and metal embellishments are tricky. You can use the Dries Clear on a metal embellishment that is flat on the back. But if you have a metal embellishment that is shaped, you know, like concave or convex, I find the E6000 or glossy accents really work better. The downside with these is that they take a longer time to dry. E6000 is pretty well set up in about 30 minutes. Glossy Accents takes longer than that, but it really holds. So these are two that I always keep on hand. And then of course, I use for my flowers and such, my little glue gun. And I like this little one because my hands are fairly small, unlike the rest of my body. and it fits my hand well. It doesn't take up a lot of room on my desk, and they're only like $2.50. And so if it dies in a couple of years, I don't grieve over it. I just toss it and get a new one. So there's that. Now, let's talk about magnets, because magnets are also adhesives. And you may not think of them that way, but I use them a lot in my folios and mini albums, and even in some of my card folios, to create little gallery bits. And I like the basic gray magnetic discs for, you know, light to medium duty usage. But for heavy duty, I've just found these small magnets at Butterbee Scraps. These are a little thicker than the basic gray, but these guys are strong. They will hold. So I thought I'd do a quick little tutorial showing you how I adhere both types of these magnets. So let me just show you very quickly how to use these magnets in a little folio. So this is just a scrap piece of paper that I have in my stash. So we're just going to use this as an example. So we're just going to make a little folio here. Turn this inside piece off a bit. And this would be a good size for a tea wallet or something. So this is the front, and then this is the inside flap, and then we'll fold down like this. So the first thing you do is take one of the magnets. This one happens to be a negative. These are the basic gray. And then I want this to land right about here. So I'm going to place my first one in the center here. And that leaves me, that's going to leave me enough room on this top flap to adhere my paper around. You put these down before you do your designer paper. Very, very important. And then just as an extra layer of protection, I put a little piece of 1/2-inch score tape over that. Now pull one of the positives, and you'll see it wants to go straight to that magnet, and peel off the little liner. So peel off the little liner, and then you're just going to bring this flap down over that, and look, perfectly placed. Then secure this also with a piece of score tape. So that's that. Let's say you are using one of these little neodymium magnets. I'll just show you how to work with those. It's really almost exactly the same. All right. So these guys are super strong. Sometimes they're a little hard to separate. I mean, you can see they are sticking to each other. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to place my magnet here on the top, and I'm going to cover it with my score tape. Just like that. And that score tape is going to hold that in place. Oops. And I'm going to take my second magnet, and it's going to flip to the side that will stick. And this is a little bit trickier, but it's worth it because these are so strong. Now I'm going to place score tape. And the reason you don't want to use liquid adhesive or anything like that with these is that it weakens the magnetic hold. But see, I peeled that off. Now I can close this, bring this down and press, and see that will stay where it goes, and then just cover that with a second piece of score tape. And then of course your designer paper is going to go over the top, and you're all set. So there's a little folio. Now what happens when you forget to add your magnet before you put your designer paper down, which I do all the time, sadly. I was just given this new product. This was sent to me by a friend in the UK. They've just designed these. These are Cool Cats Cuts. This is the Mag Pop Die Set 2. And these two little dies are very cool. You can see one has a little pop out place here and one is convex. So let me just move this stuff out of the way. I put score tape. We're going to pretend this is a piece of designer paper that matches whatever project I'm working on, right? And I forgot to put my magnet in, which is not hard to imagine because I forget all the time. So I'm going to bring my die cutting machine in. I'm going to place these over that score tape like that and run through my machine. Then we're going to pop these out and get a little pick here, pop these out. These are going to come out and you've got your adhesive on them, right? And do you see in this one how it is indented? That's the spot that your magnet sits in. So I'm not going to peel this off right now because I'm going to want to actually use this. But you would put this in here, adhere it to your folio. Then this second one, oops. So this one's like this. And you've glued that down in your folio. That one's going to sit on top. And I must not have this in the middle. There we go. That one's going to sit on top. Then you peel the adhesive off here, put this here, and they'll stick just like the other ones did. So this is a cool idea for forgetful people like me. This Cool Cats craft. Pretty cool. And I'll put the link for this below in the below. Caption it. So that's all about adhesives. That's my take on adhesives. I hope I've shared some things with you today that maybe you hadn't thought about. Some little tricks that you can use. The other thing about art glitter, real quick before I go, you can put this down with a makeup sponge over, say, petals of a flower or elements, sometimes even paint it very thinly over elements in a design, then shake on your glitter and it's perfect. It's so wonderful. I love this adhesive. It's my favorite. But thanks again, Debbie, for my beautiful charm. Thank y'all for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you along for the journey. Let me know if you enjoyed this little informational bit about adhesives. Maybe I'll find some other stuff in my stash that I can share with you, tips and tricks, just basic tools. So now I'm going to go get my craft on. Bye. So I picked everything up and I realized I forgot to talk about mixed media type adhesives. So I brought in a few of these to share with you. I'm not an expert in this, so I'm not going to pretend to be. I'm just discovering a lot of these myself. But these are what I like to use for decoupage or if I'm doing collage type work. And Ranger makes a great multi-medium in matte. And I like this because it's got a fairly comes with a little brush inside. I don't really like the little brush. I use my own brush. But you can see it's like the consistency of soft paste. And it goes down really smooth and it doesn't bubble under the paper. So I like this. My favorite is Distress Collage Medium in matte. And it's similar in texture. These are both made by Ranger. This is just multi-medium in matte, and this is Collage Medium. And this is beautiful with collage work. I use a lot of this when I want to do single layer type work. I love this the best because it dries almost instantly. You put it down and really almost by the time you've moved on to the next thing, it's dry. So that's a great one. And then the companion to that is vintage Collage Medium. This one has, as you can see, it's tinted, so you can give everything an aged look. And there's a third one, and I looked for it, but I'm out of it. It's the Crazing Medium, and this creates little tiny cracks. It's still a glue. It still adheres really well. It still dries really fast, but it makes these little cracks, and then you can go in with ink and accent those to really make things look old. And then gel medium, and gel medium typically comes in matte and gloss. This is great for if you're wanting to put down a heavier item. It's also really cool, like you can mix this with tea grounds or coffee grounds to make realistic looking dirt or grunge if you're wanting to do something in that. And then the gloss, of course, is going to dry shiny. I prefer matte, but there's both of those. So I think I've covered it all now. Sorry about the little goof I picked up and came back. Wanted to just touch on those very quickly. So Adhesive 101, all the different kinds, different ways you can use it, the ones I like. And I hope you learned a few things today. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I'd love to have you along for the journey. You can follow my blog at kathybydesign.com. And now I am really going to go get my craft on. Bye.